Hey everyone, welcome back to your channel. Today we're diving into the world of numismatics, the study or collection of currency. In particular, we're talking about a coin that many of us might have seen lying around but might not realize holds a rich history. Yes, we're talking about the 1965 Washington quarter. So if you're curious about what makes this coin special, its collectible value, and what you should look out for, keep watching. Washington quarter was first introduced back in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan. The quarter initially featured a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. However, things changed in the mid-1960s with rising silver prices. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a big decision to change the metal composition of the quarter. And that brings us to today's star coin. The 1965 Washington quarter kept the same familiar design, with George Washington's profile on the obverse and the bald eagle on the reverse. But here's what made this quarter unique. It marked the start of a new era, as the silver content was replaced with a clad composition of copper and nickel. This was a massive shift for the U.S. Mint, and 1965 was the very first year this copper-nickel composition was introduced. So this coin represents a pivotal moment in U.S. currency history. Now, how can you identify a 1965 quarter? First, take a look at the date, which you'll find on the obverse side just below Washington's neck. Also, check the rim of the coin. Unlike the pre-1965 silver quarters, the clad composition quarter shows a copper-colored edge due to its copper core. You can also feel the silver coins tend to feel slightly heavier due to the difference in metal. So, what's the value of a 1965 Washington quarter today, since it's made of copper and nickel instead of silver? A standard circulated 1965 quarter isn't worth much above face value. Most circulated examples are worth around 25 to 50 cents in today's coin market. But don't be disappointed. There are a few exceptions. Yes. Some 1965 quarters are worth more. Error coins are highly collectible. Look out for double die errors, where some of the lettering or design elements appear to have been stamped twice. Another rare find is a 1965 silver quarter, as a few were mistakenly minted with the old silver composition. A silver 1965 quarter can fetch hundreds of dollars, so it's worth checking carefully. If you're thinking about adding a 1965 quarter to your collection or want to start collecting, here are a few tips. First, invest in a magnifier. Errors can be tricky to spot. Second, keep an eye on the coin's condition. Quarters in mint or uncirculated condition are generally more valuable. Finally, consider consulting a numismatic expert or a coin dealer, especially if you think you found an error coin. And don't forget, coin collecting can be a lot of fun. And it's a great way to own a piece of history. 1977 Washington quarter. We'll be exploring its history, interesting details about its design, and of course, answering the big question. What's the value of this quarter if you happen to have one in your pocket or coin collection today? The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 as a tribute to the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Since then, it has become one of the most widely recognized coins in the United States. The 1977 Washington quarter, like many others, features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, or front side, of the coin, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Flanagan's design was selected in a public competition. And it's been on the quarter ever since, with only a few modifications over the years. Washington's profile is accompanied by the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" below him. You'll find the year 1977, the year it was minted. Now, let's flip it over. The reverse side of the quarter features a detailed image of a bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both peace and strength. This design also stayed consistent from 1932 all the way to 1998, before it was replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999. 1977 quarters were produced at both the Denver and Philadelphia mints. You can tell where your coin was minted by looking for the small mint mark near Washington's neck. If there's a D, it means it was made in Denver. No mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. San Francisco also produced a small number of proof quarters that year, but these were intended only for collectors. These quarters are made of a copper-nickel blend with a core of pure copper. They're not silver, which is important to remember for anyone hoping to cash in on metal value. With everyday circulation, they tend to develop wear and scratches, especially around the high points like Washington's hair and the eagle's wings. So, what's a 1977 quarter worth today if you find one in circulation? The truth is, if it's a regular circulated quarter, it's usually worth just that 25 cents. These coins were mass-produced with over 850 million struck in Philadelphia and more than 256 million in Denver. so they're not considered rare. However, the value can increase based on condition or if there are any errors. Certain errors, like double dies missing letters or coins struck slightly off-center, can increase a quarter's value significantly. In these cases, an error 1977 quarter could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to even hundreds if it's in great shape and has a dramatic error dot for collectors. The real value of a 1977 quarter comes in higher grade examples. Coins in mint state 65 or higher, meaning they have no signs of wear, brilliant luster, and sharp details, can fetch more from collectors. A 1977 Washington quarter graded at MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC could be worth around $10 to $25, depending on the market. Now, is a 1977 quarter worth hanging on to? Well, if it's in standard circulated condition, it's probably just a nice historical piece. But if you come across one in exceptional shape or with a rare mint error, you might have something special. Either way, these quarters are a great reminder of the history behind the coins we handle every day. 1988 Washington quarter. Have you ever wondered if that quarter you got as change could be worth more than 25 cents? Stick around, because today we're going to find out. First, let's take a quick look at the history behind the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple in American currency since it was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan. The design has changed slightly over the years, but the essential look has remained the same, featuring George Washington's profile on the front. Now, the Washington quarter was originally minted in 90% silver until 1964. After that, due to rising silver prices, it switched to a copper nickel-clad composition, which is what our 1988 quarter is made of. So let's talk specifically about the 1988 Washington quarter. Like all quarters made after 1964, it's made of a copper-nickel blend, which makes it durable and resistant to everyday wear. The 1988 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 mm. On the obverse side, we see George Washington's profile, with the word Liberty above his head, In God We Trust on the left, and the date 1988. At the bottom. On the reverse side, we have the traditional eagle design that was used on quarters from 1932 until the state quarters began in 1999. The eagle is perched with its wings spread, clutching a bundle of arrows, and there's an olive branch underneath, a symbol of peace and strength. Something important to look for on the 1988 Washington quarter is the mint mark, which tells us where the coin was made. You'll find it just above the date on the obverse side. For 1988, the most common mint marks are D for the Denver Mint and P for the Philadelphia Mint. If your coin has an S, it was minted in San Francisco, but those are typically proof coins, made with higher quality, and for collectors. The mint mark can sometimes impact the value of a coin, especially if there's a significant difference in the number of coins produced at each mint. Alright. Let's get to the question everyone wants answered: what's the 1988 quarter worth in circulated condition? Now, here's the thing: because this coin was mass-produced, most 1988 quarters you find in circulation will only be worth their face value, which is 25 cents. In fact, millions of these quarters were produced in 1988, which means they're common and easy to find. With numbers this high, circulated 1988 quarters generally don't have any added collector value unless they're in exceptional condition. What if you have a quarter that looks pristine? Well, that's where things get interesting. If you have a 1988 Washington quarter in uncirculated or mint condition, the value can go up slightly. In mint state, which means it's uncirculated with no wear, these coins can range from about 50 cents up to a couple of dollars, depending on their grade. For instance, a 1988 quarter graded MS65 by a grading company like PCGS or NGC could be worth $1 or $2, maybe more if it's higher than MS65. The grading scale goes up to MS70, but finding a 1988 quarter in MS70 condition is extremely rare and could command a premium. Now, here's where things really get exciting: error coins. Some quarters minted in 1988 have unique errors or variations that make them worth more. Common errors to look for include misstrikes, where the design is off-center, or doubled dies, where parts of the design are doubled. These errors are rare and can add significant value. For example, a 1988 Washington quarter with a clear doubling could be worth anywhere from $25 to even $100 or more, depending on the visibility and rarity of the error. So keep an eye out for any unusual features on your quarters you might be holding onto a valuable coins. If you're curious to see if your 1988 quarter is worth more than 25 cents, here's a quick checklist to follow. So, while most 1988 Washington quarters are worth their face value, there are definitely some that could be worth more. especially if they're in mint condition or have unique errors. Always check your change and see what you find. You never know when you might strike a little hidden treasure. The 1983 Washington Quarter. We'll cover everything you need to know about its history, features, and of course its value in today's market. So if you're a collector or just curious about the coins in your pocket, stick around. Let's start with a little background. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, has become an iconic piece of American coinage. This quarter was originally made with a silver composition, but starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper nickel-clad composition. By 1983, the Washington Quarter had been circulating for over 50 years, and it was firmly established as a staple of American currency. Now, let's zoom in on the 1983 Washington Quarter itself. The obverse or front of the coin shows a portrait of George Washington facing left, with the word Liberty above his head and In God We Trust on the left side. The minting date, in this case 1983, appears at the bottom. On the reverse side, you'll see an eagle with outspread wings, a symbol of strength and unity. Below the eagle is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, and below that, the denomination quarter dollar. This eagle reverse design was in use until 1998, when it was replaced by the 50-state quarters program. Here's where it gets interesting. Despite being a relatively recent coin, the 1983 Washington Quarter is considered a notable find among collectors, and that's mainly because of one reason. No quarters were issued for collectors in 1983. The U.S. Mint didn't release special mint sets or uncirculated collector versions of the 1983 quarters, making high-grade 1983 quarters harder to come by. So, if you have a 1983 Washington Quarter in excellent condition, it's worth more than face value to collectors. Coins graded at MS65 or higher are especially sought after as they're uncommon due to the lack of collector versions produced that year. Quarters in uncirculated condition, meaning they have little to no visible wear, can sell for a few dollars each. In grades MS60 to MS64, they might range from $2 to $15. Coins graded MS65 or higher are where things get more valuable. A 1983 quarter in MS65 can fetch $20 to $30, while grades auction. Keep in mind, these values fluctuate with the market, and prices might vary depending on demand, so checking recent auction results can give you an up-to-date idea of current values. Like many coins, some 1983 Washington Quarters have unique error varieties, and these can boost the coin's value even more. A few examples include show close error coins are quite popular, and a 1983 quarter with a significant error can be worth much more than a regular 1983 quarter in the same condition. If you have a 1983 quarter that looks like it's in good shape, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service such as PCGS or NGC. They'll assess the condition and certify the grade, which can add to its resale value if you decide to sell. For preservation, always handle coins by the edges, avoid direct skin contact, and store them in protective holders or flips. This will help maintain the coin's condition and prevent any damage that could lower its value. And that's it for our deep dive into the 1983 Washington Quarter. Whether you're hoping to find a rare, high-grade example or just want to learn more about this piece of American history, we hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check your pocket change. You might have a valuable piece right under your nose. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and subscribe to our channel for more content on coins, currency, and collectibles. See you next time.